Well, hey, it's good to see you again. My name is Jada Ben, and welcome back to another Wax Showcase video where Harry Warden's in a coma. It's been a very decent length of time since our last Wax Showcase video. We're on episode, I believe, 29 off the top of my head. It is July, almost August. Apologies for the delays in videos. I've been very busy. We'll cover some more of that stuff towards the end of the video. But hey, I'm glad you're here with me. Welcome back. And before we get started with today's episode, thank you guys for 200 subscribers. That's right, we hit the milestone not too long ago with a bunch of the recent back catalog stuff I've had go up on the channel, but figured I'd pop on here to say thank you so much. Absolutely means the world to me. I forgot I left my Coke over there, so give me just a second. Cheers to you guys. Appreciate you. But anyways, we've got a lot of awesome things to talk about today, including a bunch of brand new records we've got here on the channel. But first, we're going to start about what is playing in my tape deck just right over here today. That is going to be Opium Den with Live 2, released in 2025 on Bitter Kiss of Winter Records. This was filmed by the Animals Mistaken for Monsters YouTube channel out of Dallas, Fort Worth. I believe this was recorded at the Rubber Gloves Rehearsal Studios in Denton, Texas. I recently had the pleasure of catching these guys with Pack Mentality and D. Wormer at the Lost Well in Austin, Texas, where I picked this guy up. This was limited to 25 copies. Mine is numbered number 10 out of 25 copies. These dudes are absolutely incredible punk rock and hardcore from Dallas. I highly recommend checking them out if you get the chance. I know they got a bunch of copies up on the Bitter Kiss of Winter distro, so I'm going to link to that down in the description. Go buy a copy and tell them that Jada Ben sent ya. Opium Den with Live 2 playing in the background just right over here today. So we've been away from the Wax Showcase series for a little bit. I actually did film an episode, but it got scrapped. I just didn't like the way that it turned out. So we're actually going to revisit some of those records. One of those being a recent edition that I had gotten in right after that last one was filmed. I'm talking about Exhumed with Red Asphalt, released in 2026 on Relapse Records. As you can see, it comes in this really cool, like, caution evidence bag edition. There's some really cool stuff in here, but here's the outside cover. And here's the inside cover. As you can see in all of its glory, mine is signed by the 4 awesome members of Exhumed. We had the pleasure of catching these guys at the Lost Well in Austin, Texas in February, doing a co-headline run with the dudes in Nomos and Oxygen Destroyer on the Red Asphalt tour. Very old school retro cover and whatnot on here, but these dudes are just as hungry as they've always been. Absolutely gore infested. Dr. Filthy's driving school is in full operation here, and we're putting a lot of Texas drivers on the road. If you've driven in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we got some awesome tracks on here, such as Unsafe at Any Speed, Shock Trauma, which is definitely my favorite off this record, Shovelhead, and Symphorophilia. Just a bunch of awesome tracks that we actually did see played live. We saw about 3/4 of this record live, and it was a really cool experience. Getting to be up front, seeing Exhumed and all of their antics. It was an absolute blast. I did a little partial set that I'm going to have up on screen. I might also link to it in the description. Here's the video on screen right now for you to check out. But absolutely incredible set top to bottom. It's always a pleasure to catch Exhumed. I believe that was my 3rd time catching Exhumed off the top of my head. We saw them on the To the Dead tour, we saw them on the Decayed Decades tour, and then we saw them on the Red Asphalt tour. The particular variant that this guy came on was known as the Bloody Steering Wheel, the silver with black ice pinwheels, and silver and red splatter. This was limited to 135 copies in its deluxe edition. It also comes with this massive fuck all poster that I'm not going to unravel, but it's mostly the album artwork. I believe this also has a lyric sheet on it as well. It also comes with this really cool My Other Vehicle is a Chainsaw bumper sticker and a commemorative Exhumed California license plate. That is a real license plate. It's actually really cool. I debated on getting the guys to sign this instead of the cover, but I did notice that it started to smear. I did a little streaks on the back. It's not really that noticeable anymore. I did try to get most of it cleared off, but it didn't stay exactly as I wanted to, so we stuck with the cover. But anyways, this is a cool thing to have with it. But anyways, just an absolutely awesome record for those of you that love gore, that love metal, and that love that sort of gore, grind, metal, death metal, grind sort of stuff going on here. XXVIII put out an absolutely killer album this year, and I highly recommend go check it out if you haven't already. XXVIII with Red Asphalt. Speaking of awesome gurgling, grind, and gore, and delicious death metal, we saw a show at the Mohawk in Austin, Texas, I believe in April. This might have also been May, but I'll put it on screen in case I'm wrong on either of those dates. But headlining that particular card was none other than Sulfuric Cautery. This is Consummate Extirpation, released in 2025 on Blast Addict Records, and as you can see in all of its glory, mine is signed by the two members, 1 and 2, somewhere in this general vicinity. Right down here, number 2. Anyways, these dudes are a two-piece out of Los Angeles, California, putting on some of the most disgusting, gurgly, fun, slamming, grind, and death metal that I have ever heard, especially in a live setting. These dudes are absolutely monstrous musicians, and seeing them live was an absolute fucking treat. Some favorite tracks on here include the title track, Consummate Extirpation, Severe, Osteogenesis, Imperfectica, Chemical Sadism, and they did a cover of a song called Deridement from a group called Orchidectomy, which is just disgusting and brutal and absolutely crazy. Some of the nicest dudes ever getting this signed right after the show. Had an absolute blast. They played with bands such as Chest Pain and Blasphemist and Raw Addict, who I also had an absolute blast seeing. So this is a very unorthodox card, especially for here in the Austin scene. I had a blast going to check these guys out for the very, very first time, and I was absolutely hooked. I got the full set up on YouTube right now, so I highly recommend going to check that out. I'll, of course, put some footage on the screen for you guys to check out. We got this awesome inner sheet, which kind of reminds me of the old Carcass, like, you know, where they take all the old magazine clippings and medical examiner clippings and stuff like that. Though I believe this all was drawn by Vicky, the vocalist of Raw Addict, but I will put on screen there in case if I'm wrong. I know she did the cover. I don't know if she did the other artwork on that, but of course I'll put it on screen in case I do find out who did the rest of the artwork. There was no specified limitation for this one, but of course I got the standard black vinyl at the merch table. Absolutely incredible. I believe this is 180 gram black vinyl. It's really, really nice. Absolutely incredible if you like grindcore, if you like gore grind, if you just like brutal shit. I'd recommend checking these guys out, and definitely go see them live if they actually come to you in your city. They are taking over Europe right now. As a matter of fact, they have a CDR for an EP that's not even out yet. So if any of y'all can get me a copy, please reach out to me via my Instagram. I'm going to link to my link tree down there. Reach out to me if you can get me a copy. I'd be more than happy, and I'll show it off and I'll shout you out on the channel. But in the meantime, Sulfuric Cautery with Consummate Extirpation. I just realized how much of a modern metal episode this is, so we're going to continue with another modern release. Actually, not from this year, but the year previous. As a matter of fact, this was the winner of my Killer Concept Award from last year, and that is none other than Kayonashi with I Want to Go Home, released in 2025 on Equal Vision Records. This is the band's third part in the Lemon House saga, and it's basically an all-encompassing, I believe they said, final act of this particular saga. At first, I didn't quite understand this record. I liked the musicianship of it, but the vocals kind of threw me. But then as I started kind of reading the lyrics and understanding the saga itself, it just latched on and absolutely just stuck with me. I believe this places my number 10 on my albums of the year list from last year, so definitely worth checking out. Definitely kind of has that almost knocked loose kind of vocal style, but I kind of got over that. Not too bad. We have some awesome tracks on here, such as Fairmount Park, After Dark, Jamie, Red Sink, Yellow Teeth, which is just an absolute killer track. I love the high to low vocal contrast and back and forth and back and forth. Their vocalist is an absolute madman when it comes to stuff like that. We got Elephant in the Room, If You Can Keep a Secret, and then the full Sanguine trilogy to round off this particular record. Kayonashi is one of those bands that has been pushing sort of the boundaries, especially of what hardcore and that sort of like, you know, semi-emo, post-hardcore stuff can be. Absolutely killer concept work at hand here that covers a lot of mental struggles and identity and suicide and all that, all sorts of mental anguish and stuff like that. It's been an absolutely incredible release to check out. I've not yet seen these guys live yet. The particular variant that I got is known as the Lemon House Saga, which was limited to 180 copies. It's this incredible rainbow splatter. Let me see if I can get the light to shine behind that so you can just see that it is splatter the whole way through. And of course you got your little insert sheet there. The fact that this band is a 3-piece and they absolutely hit as hard as they do is just absolutely incredible. I'm hoping they'll come back through Austin at one point. I know they did a show with DSFP Records. It was a free gig, I think in 2024, 2025, and unfortunately I missed that. But now that I have this, maybe we'll get this signed in the very, very near future. I'd also like to thank Spider God, Mr. G, for recommending this to me because he saw them live in England. Absolutely loved it, was talking about it in our Spider God Discord, and I had to go and check this out, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So that's a thank you to him if he's watching this. In the meantime, go check these guys out. Kayonashi, I Want to Go Home. We're absolutely breezing through these today, folks. This is a very fast set of records. I am talking about Triage with In the Trenches, released in 2026 on Roman numeral records. This record actually came out not too long ago. We had the pleasure of catching these guys with Gorger and the dudes in Contusion not too long ago. I'm gonna have a partial set of this up on the channel in just a little while, but this is their brand new, I believe, second album. I know some people contest whether this is their second album, their second EP, whatnot. I don't care. Just absolutely blasting grindcore. Once again, we saw these guys at the Lost Well just a couple of weeks ago, and we saw about maybe 3/4 of this record, top to bottom. It is 16 tracks, and it clocks in at only about 20 minutes. So we saw a vast majority of this, including such awesome tracks such as Length of Leash, Through Blood, There Is Change, Evolutionary Blindness, and Dirt or Poison, just to name a couple. There's a bunch more. These dudes are absolutely incredible. My brother actually knows a mutual friend of their vocalist, Champ, who also plays in groups like Poacher around here in Austin, Texas. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of these guys, hopefully on the channel in the very, very near future. It came with this awesome double inner printed sheet, which the record did sit in. It was an anti-static, but I changed it to an anti-static sleeve because I care about my record's condition. But absolute 4-piece. This features, once again, Champ Morgan from groups like Poacher. I believe he also played in groups like Black Ops and Kill the Client. And then Brian Fajardo on drums, who used to play in PLF out of Houston, Texas, who we saw at the Oblivion Access Festival a number of years ago. It was very, very awesome to see that that dude is still getting work after that awesome gig. The particular variant that this record comes on is the red with black smoke edition. I do not believe there was a limitation specified for this guy. I know they had copies at the merch table, but I just didn't have time to catch them. I had a very, very long week that week, so I wanted to get home. But of course, I pre-ordered this right as soon as I got home. Hopefully, this is not going to be their only show that they play in Austin this year. So go check these guys out and tell them what you think. Triage with In the Trenches. And finally, we're going to end off today's episode with a little bit of devil metal in the form of the new LP from Nunslaughter with Satanic Chaos Legions, released in 2026 on Black to Black Records. Oh, I'm holding 2 copies. Oh, what is that? That is the test press, ladies and gentlemen. I have the cool version here. I've also got the test press. Picked this up from Black to Black right as the record was announced. Absolutely incredible to see these dudes from Cleveland back, absolutely killing just Christianity and just the eardrums of their listeners. These dudes are absolutely fucking incredible. We've had the pleasure of catching them twice. The first time at the Lost Well in 2024 on a headline run, and then recently in 2025 also on a headline run, this time at Valhalla in downtown Austin. On that second day, we ended up seeing the track on Sacrament from this record, but we also got a bunch of tracks on here such as Jesus Fucking Dies, Die Your Own Death, Pukerist, and Listen to Their Lies. The drum work, the guitar work, Dawn of the Dead's vocals are just absolutely monstrous from start to finish. If you have not gone through this record yet, I highly recommend doing so. I'm a little bit of a late bloomer when it comes to bands like Nunslaughter. I discovered these guys in 2022 with the vinyl pressing of Red is the Color of Ripping Death, but I've been through their back catalog very, very extensively, and I can definitely say that this is some of the band's strongest modern output they've put out in a very, very long time. We've got the printed inner sleeve with all of the lyrics as well as the band members on there. I had the pleasure of talking with these dudes after the Lost Well show in 2024, and they're some of the nicest dudes ever. I'm hoping they'll be back through Austin again at some point. Maybe we'll get these guys signed in the very, very near future. The particular variant that I picked up for the main edition is the clear with red splatter version. There was no limitation specified as far as I am aware. But of course, if I do find some information about that, I will put it on screen. I don't believe the website said anything about it. And then, of course, we have the test press, which is on a 180 gram black vinyl. I don't believe that there was a black vinyl edition in general, so I believe this was the only way to get it. There was no limitation specified on this one, but it is still really cool nonetheless. I added this to Discogs, and of course, the want list number on it just shot up like crazy. I believe there are still copies of both of these for sale on the Black to Black web store, so I will link to it down in the description for you to go buy a copy and support these guys. Hopefully we'll have some footage of them on the channel, hopefully before year's end, but we'll see. Regardless, Nunslaughter with Satanic Chaos Legions. And that is going to wrap it up for today's episode, at least for the vinyl talk. It's been a busy couple of months for me here. I've had a lot of things going on, but I'm here to give you guys some good news. I will be doing some more videos, trying to do our wax showcase once a month. I've got a video of our bootleg breakdown planned. I've got a setlist ephemera video planned. I've got some more lists and stuff planned, so hopefully we're going to get to those as I'm able to do so. But the good news coming out of all of this is I am going back to school. I'm going to be going back for my associates or my bachelor's in manufacturing technology. So that is going to take a little while. We're going to be doing that until the very beginning of 2028. And with everything that the world is going through right now, it kind of felt good to step back for a little bit and kind of deal with some of the more important stuff. I appreciate you guys being here. 200 subscribers. Absolutely insane. We are flying to that 250 milestone. And I will tell you, at the 250 milestone, you guys voted on it when we did our 100 subscriber vote that we're going to be doing my top 10 non-metal albums of all time. And at 300 subscribers, we're going to do a Wax Mage Wax Showcase special. So stay tuned for those. Tell your friends, share this video as far as possible. I appreciate it. I read every comment. So talk about all of these cool records and talk about some cool records that I should check out. I will be eternally grateful. Thank you guys so very, very much. And as always, stay safe, stay metal, do not submit to tyrants, and I will see you next time.